Okay, finally.
Yes, finally it works. Perfect.
Finally it works. Now it works.
How is it
Great.
going?
It's going great. It's going great. I think people can hear us. If Shweta or Rupali can confirm that you guys are hearing both of our voices. Can you guys hear us, the audience? Yes, perfect. Okay. Uh, so, sorry for the glitch. I don't know what the problem is, but it's good to have you, Somdip. Uh,
My pleasure.
I did a quick introduction again. I should do a quick introduction again for the benefit of people who are joining in now. So you did your PhD at the University of Essex in AI. You've also MIT Innovator under 35 in AI. You're also the CEO of Nosh Technologies. You're also a TED speaker. You're also a FRSA. So you've done so much, and your current work is you're a lecturer at the University of Essex as well. So first of all, with this grand introduction, I would say welcome to the show, and I'm really excited to know your journey and how you transitioned throughout your academic career. So
Thank
welcome
you
to the
so much.
show, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Amogh, for the warm introduction and warm welcome. And I'm super excited to be here. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
perfect. Let's do it then. So uh, as we always on this show we try to delve into the journey of the person, of the guest, and so to start with your journey, I would really like to know the background from where you come from, background in science and technology. Uh, how did you start with your initial studies?
Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, go- going back to a bit like backward in my life. So this was
Right.
like I was in high school, and I wanted to work in astrophysics and wanted to work in NASA.
Wow.
So, uh, but like when the results came out, the high school final result, right? I wanted to study astrophysics at St. Xavier's, Kolkata, but
Hmm.
was literally like in physics. I remember I got like 76 or 78 out of 100, but I was around like 1 or 2 marks right below what like the cutoff.
Oh, okay.
So disheartened, and I used to go to Birla Planetarium, which is a very famous planetarium, not just in India, but it's based in Kolkata.
Okay.
So
Okay.
from an early age, I was already in touch with the director there. So I reached out to him saying that, oh, I didn't get astrophysics.
Hmm.
So what should I do? And he knew that I wanted to work at NASA. So he said, well, NASA don't just like hire physicists and astrophysicists, they also hire computer scientists and
Yeah.
computer science. But before that, like before university, I've never done any programming.
Hmm.
Uh, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna do well in it, and someday I'm gonna get a job at NASA. So I chose computer science as my honors. Uh, and so the first day of programming lab, so we were taught C programming. Somehow, like at university, the first language that we were taught was C programming, which is one of the like very difficult language to pick up if
Right.
you want to do in that programming language. So I didn't know any programming, and almost like more than 50% of the class they did some form of programming like beforehand.
Hmm.
And the first lab was okay. It was you have to write a program in C that can show "Hello World" on the command prompt or console of the computer. Uh, of course, I didn't know, so I looked right and left. Somebody on my right hand side, the person, my fellow classmate, was right. So I looked at it and I copied it. But when he ran it, it ran perfectly. When I ran it or compiled it, it gave more than 30 errors.
Oh my God. Okay.
Backstory, so like Hello World in C at max can be like 5 lines of code, even if you
Mhm.
like put new lines and those kind of like other formatting things. Then 5 lines of code, I got more than 30 errors, and I became the laughing stock of the class. They were like, it's impossible to get so many in 5 lines of code. That kind
Right.
of hit my ego a bit. And I was like, okay, no, now it's a new challenge for me. I have to become better in programming.
Right.
So after that day, I used to go to the lab every day and I used to bug my professor asking about, okay, how to improve, what to do next, what can I do to become a better software engineer.
Right.
And professor actually was very nice in realizing people who work hard. It wasn't just me. The professor, Dr. Asoknath from St. Xavier's, so he was always very kind and receptive to other students as well. But he definitely noticed my like enthusiasm to learn computers. So through that, from second year in my life, I got incorporated into research. So, which is not that conventional, like when you're an undergraduate. But he understood, okay, this guy at least will try very hard to give something to
Right.
the research.
The drive was always from going to NASA, or you wanted to do grandeur things. What was the inner drive that you had?
I think it's probably to do better than what I can do. So it's
Okay.
more self improvement. So
Always challenging you for new stuff. Okay.
exactly. So from there, so I started research at a very early age, and that kind of helped me like pursuing research at a later age. Uh,
Right.
and yeah, so that's how my research journey kind of started at an undergraduate level, which also gave me like I remember even when I graduated, before I graduated with my BSc, I think I published 28 25 or 28 research paper, both in
Wow.
conference as well as journal. So it kind of gave me the flavor of what research is. Now, funny story, actually back in 2019, I was offered a job at NASA,
Okay.
uh, but I, I didn't go for it because by then my motivation in life has changed. So again, this is to say that when you might have a dream at one point, but that might not be true at a later stage in your life, but you will find what you want to do or what you need to do as you go through the journey of life.
Wow. That's really amazing, because the drive was to go to NASA, but then it culminated into you challenging yourself to grandeur things, and the journey has been slightly different than what you had dreamt for. Interesting. So you were an engineer to start with. You had your passion in coding, to say, or in engineering aspects. Uh, you've talked about this in your in one of your talks, but the drive to do a PhD was completely different, and it comes from some personal story. And if you are okay to talk about it, what was that exact shift when you decided, okay, now I really need to do a PhD and get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it has a kind of, it's influenced by two different stories but merged together, which finally made me to do my PhD. So
Yeah.
after completing my bachelor's in computer science from Xavier's, I wanted to do higher studies abroad.
Mhm.
So I applied for masters in US and UK. UK, most of the universities I got admitted to, but the one I finally chose was University of Manchester, especially because, so although my research till that point was mostly in information and computer security,
Yeah.
but I wanted to go in the computer systems design route. So I chose my master's in advanced computer science with specialization in computer systems engineering from Manchester. Now, one of the biggest reason of choosing that is because uh, one of the module, which was mobile computing, was is still, I think, taught by Professor Steve Ferber. So Steve Ferber is one of the co-inventor of the ARM RISC processor. So ARM's
Hmm.
processor are the processor which are powering all our smartphones and IoTs.
Okay.
So whether you buy an Apple or Samsung or Xiaomi, all these smartphones processors, the core IP is technically built by ARM. And
Hmm.
the processor technology, the initial processor technology was co-invented by Steve Ferber.
Okay.
And he was teaching that module at that time. So even like I got scholarship from many other universities as well for masters. Manchester was the only one who didn't give me scholarship, but yet I
Okay.
went. So it's just because I wanted to learn from the inventor,
From
because that's the
yeah. Right.
area I wanted to go. And like looking back now actually I did my PhD in embedded machine learning, which is machine learning in embedded system. Basically, I'm working with those processors. That's like big part. And I don't
Right.
think I done it if I wouldn't have gone for that module in Manchester. Now, actually, I also had a PhD offer then, so I could have just completed my master's and gone into the PhD.
Right.
But when I was completing my master's, my parents back in India went through a car accident. So, and I am the only child. So, for them, like we needed financial stability.
Right.
So at that time, I gave up my like dream to pursue PhD further. So I applied for jobs. I got a job as a software engineer in the UK, and I stayed back so that I can provide for my family.
Right.
But then, so through that accident, my father got paralyzed, and we tried all the big hospitals in India, like AIMS, uh, Fortis, if I can, like the hospital chains, but nobody could help. Like none of the doctors could help my dad to walk again.
Hmm.
So, even while I was working back in Manchester as a software engineer after I graduated, I was feeling very bad
Right.
that I couldn't help much my dad. So I was doing research on the side, independent research, and I found out that in US, especially in collaboration with the US Department of Defense, there are few companies who have developed robotic exoskeleton to
Yeah.
help place people to walk again. So it's part of their rehabilitation journey. But
Right.
those exoskeleton, like they cost 120K, which is definitely not affordable for most Indian families or most people from
Of course.
Asia.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of money.
exactly. So, as a technologist, I thought, okay, what can I do to be able to build a more affordable version of that? But in order to build these type of exoskeleton, uh, one of the important concept is the embedded machine learning, because if you can use AI or machine learning technique on the device itself, you can reduce the price because you're doing all the processing on the exoskeleton. And then you can also think about using alternative materials for such exoskeleton which are cheaper. So I started looking for different like PhDs related to this topic, and I came across a funded PhD at the University of Essex under Dr. Amit Kumar Singh and Professor Klaus McDonald Meyer. And so I reached out. I sent my CV. I talked about my personal story, that why I go for this PhD. And I still remember it was like the deadline for the scholarship application was literally like 2 days away. So I found it really like the nick of time, as they call it.
Right.
Uh, and my supervisor, Dr. Amit Singh, he was like, "Yes, we want you. Just apply. Don't worry. We will take care of everything else. We will sort out everything. Don't worry. Just apply." So I applied, went for the interview, was shortlisted for the interview, went for the interview, and got selected. And that's how my PhD journey started.
Amazing, amazing. Very, very few scientists, I'd say, or people in research have a inside motivation to solve a particular problem within their community or family or within their domain. So I think your inner motivation must have been the driving force for not only you but also for your PIs to see that spark in you, that how motivated you are in actually cracking the problem in the first place, right?
Thank
Uh, yeah. So tell me about your journey then as a PhD student, because I cannot even imagine what kind of a mental stress you would have been under, knowing that your family is not physically fit, and also, as you said, economically also you were also supporting your parents. I know the medical bills can be really, really demanding, but having this and also having the focus, the need to really focus on the problem, the research problem at hand. How was your journey? How did you go about it?
So I want to point out something. So this is personal opinion, okay?
Right.
But I think what have happened is for my own good. If I would have gone for my PhD right after my master's, I might not have excelled this much, like where I am today. The reason being, what I realized that after doing my master's, I worked almost like 4 years in the industry, like full time. Uh,
Nice.
so that gave me a different perspective of how to approach a problem, uh, how to come up with solutions which might not be within the box. Uh, so when I went for my PhD, it was actually a smooth journey for me. In fact, I actually published first paper on my PhD in just 2 months within the PhD itself. I didn't
Wow.
like any, let's say, extensive research on that topic beforehand, but I realized that I could translate a lot of my skills from the industry into my research. And it
Mhm.
also made me think that, okay, how can I build technologies or methodologies that are not just useful for research but could also be translated into commercial product. So for me, PhD was a like super sailing journey. Like although actually it took me 6 years, to be honest, to complete my PhD. The reason being, so the thesis that I submitted, 95% of the thesis, the one that is online right now, 95% of it was actually completed in the first 1.5 year.
Okay.
But because on scholarship, which was for 3 years, and the pandemic also started in between, so
Mhm.
submitted my thesis earlier. So I submitted my thesis first time to be evaluated was around 2 years mark. But the department said, well, you're already on scholarship, so just complete the 3 years and then submit again. So
Okay.
it was, but funny thing that I actually did my postgrad at Manchester uh, before I completed my PhD because I submitted my thesis at the 2 year mark.
Okay.
So a postdoc. I started it, and then University of Essex returned it, saying that we can't accept it. Like resubmit it after you complete the 3 years of funding. But I did the postdoc job at Manchester back then. Uh, but that said, what happened in between? Like in between that time, when like I had almost 1 year, so I started my own company, which is Nosh Technologies. And I got so focused into that that from 2 to 3 years, my final PhD happened like in 6 years time.
Okay.
Yeah. So it started very strong, very easy, but then life happened. Like co-founded companies got very busy, got funding for the startup, hired a lot of people among the like in the journey, and life just got so busy. And for that reason,
This is by far the most unconventional PhD journeys I've ever heard of, because uh, like I am a very traditional PhD who has done his bachelor's, done his master's, done his PhD, and then postdoc. It's a very traditional route that we follow. But as you said, the time that you spend at the industry actually helped you to excel in certain skills and made your PhD much more smoother, and you didn't really have to learn those skill set again to really go ahead. But this is very interesting that you moved from your PhD and started a company, and then you had to come back and finish your PhD. And I'm going to come to that now. Like it's not something that normally typical Indian students will think of.
yeah,
Uh, it's not a culture, let's say, or I don't know why. What is the major issue? But maybe you can let me know what your thoughts are. And that is doing a startup or and just after PhD, because the job prospects after a PhD are very limited. It's very difficult to get a job, and at that time, to think about a startup is a very, very I would say again an unconventional way to go about it.
yeah.
But you did that, and you started your Nosh Technologies as a company or a startup. So, what was the idea behind it? Where was the motivation coming for that? Because I'm always going back to motivation, because I think in your case, motivation has been the driving force to many of your successes. So, just tell us about your startup then. How did that come up?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Amogh. Yeah, I might be a bit nostalgic, so please bear with me.
Yeah, sure,
Uh,
sure.
Back in Manchester, when that accident happened, right? Uh, so my parents at that time needed some financial support to go through the medical procedure.
Right.
And back then, while I was studying, I used to do a lot of part-time job so that I can support myself. So when that I got to know about the accident, I sent back all my money that I had in my savings and current account in Manchester, like in the UK account, to my parents, and
Yeah.
uh, like so that like they can have some form of support, right? Because I was here, they were back in India, here in the UK, so I wasn't there physically, but the least I could do is provide them financially. But after sending back all the money, then I realized that I didn't have any money to buy food for myself. And that even I was in UK, and I do not have any family members. And the friends I made were at the university.
Right.
So I also never wanted to ask for money. Even if it is like 10 quid, I never asked for money from people. And I don't feel comfortable doing that. So I was thinking that okay, what can I do? Like I don't have any money, and I wouldn't get paid from the part-time job that I was doing till like almost after a week. So I went to bed a couple of nights, completely hungry, empty stomach. Then I realized now I have to do something because it's also affecting my like studies.
Yeah.
Luckily, the accident actually happened around May time. So, which was when the summer holiday kind of starts.
Right.
Like it is almost approaching.
Right.
So, student from the accommodation, they move out, and because they are moving out to and going back to their home, so they just throw away what they won't use or can't use.
Right.
And so behind the building, they had huge skip, like those big dumpster where you can throw away anything, and then the management will take it to the dump or somewhere. So people, when they were moving away, they were literally throwing out like not just food, but completely usable like items. I even so the way I survived was at night I will go dumpster diving. So I would jump in these skips and salvage food. And in between, so I even found a completely perfectly new bag with tag, and it was thrown away in the skip. But I know why the people threw it away, because it was bright orange in color. But it still had the tag. So I took that bag, put like there were unopened boxes of apples. They were still in the packet and they haven't expired. Just because people were moving away, they didn't want the trouble to carry them with like carry the food or unwanted items with them. They just threw it away. So I put all those items in the bag, like whatever I could eat, went back to my accommodation, and I literally survived 1 week on that. But from there, I understood how much food is actually wasted by people. So, as a technologist, that gave me the idea, okay, why not do something about this? Can I build a technology to reduce waste in some ways? So, end of 2014, me and my friends in Manchester, we ended up developing world's first crowd food sharing platform, and we made it open source, and we also won the like world's back then it was the largest online or virtual hackathon in the world. It was coding's global hackathon 2014.
Okay.
So on that challenge as well. And in that time we didn't go try to commercialize that technology. We made it open source because I knew that it could help other people to reduce food waste all over the world. And it did. Over the following years from 2014, a lot of entrepreneurs got inspired from that, and they built their own technology, adopted same technology and built their own platform to join in the fight against food waste.
Wow.
But along the journey, so it has been like almost like 9 years, not 10 years, but close to a decade. So I realized that that technology is great. It helps people to share their leftover with other people, but it still doesn't actually reduce waste. If you think about it, it's mostly like you're shifting your waste to another person. That person might utilize it completely, or they still end up throwing some part of it away as well. Moreover, people who actually bought those items and they're giving it away, they're still losing the money that they spent for those, right?
Right.
So that's why I think that this technology was a very important step towards building a better technology and reducing waste. But again, like there could be efficient ways. Now, during the pandemic 2020, we had a changing shopping schedule.
Right.
So people go and do bulk buying once or twice a week because of the pandemic itself. So in the household, people were experiencing more and more wastage, food wastage, especially for the food items with shorter shelf life. Uh, so again, I was actually facing the same problems, the exact problem. So I thought, okay, is it just me or other people are also facing the same issue? So I reached out to my friends, colleagues at the university, and everybody said, yes, we are also facing the same issue. So I went back to the drawing board and I thought of, okay, what can I do? What can I build new to help people to actually reduce waste? Then I realized that my PhD, embedded machine learning technique, could be very important in building this technology, because machine learning techniques are amazing in shifting or going through data and learning patterns from it. And when it comes to reducing waste, it's basically like learning the pattern of where and how waste is happening, and then we can take further decision on reducing that waste.
Wow.
So I called a couple of my friends whom I knew earlier, and we ended up developing the Nosh app, which is the world's first AI-powered food waste management app for consumers. And given the, like, it was very successful overnight. Like, we got thousands of user within the first month, and we thought, okay, no, this could be a valid idea to even commercialize going forward. But my motivation to commercialize is not about making money or to become rich. My motivation was, I realized that uh, in order to keep building a more amazing product, you need money. And that can only happen if you have like a surplus amount of money that you can reinvest in the development. And that could only happen if you go for, like, incorporate a for-profit company that could pay
Right.
those
Yeah, sorry, I lost you there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's why we ended up co-developing Nosh Technologies, so that we can raise more funding, generate revenue, and we can reinvest in the company to keep developing technologies to reduce food waste all over the world. And that's it. Like, recently, not recently, it has been like 2 years now. Since last 2 years, we have developed several technologies, which we also made open source, and we have published the core IP as a research paper, made it available so that the whole agri-food supply chain can benefit from it. And right now, our work is used by United Nations, so cited by United Nations, US Food Department, UK's Food Department, to create policies around how to reduce waste.
Wow, I'm really out of words. Uh, Knowing what is your motivation to start such a company and to use machine learning and your skill set. I mean, I cannot imagine someone going through that and trying to, it's amazing. It's just unbelievable, to be honest. Uh, yeah. So tell me more about your thoughts about AI now, because right now we are in a phase which most AI people also call the Oppenheimer moment. Uh, Interestingly, Oppenheimer movie is also coming up next week. Uh, because there is always this debate of AI being overpowering humans, or humans using it against humans, or is it a boon? Is it a destroyer? Is it a what is it going to do? What does AI have in future for us? What are your thoughts about it? Because you've used, as I see through your journey, you've used machine learning AI as very powerful tools to solve very important, complex social problems. Uh, what are your thoughts about what AI is going to do to us, or what we are going to do to us using AI in the future?
We we humans, okay, as animals, we call ourselves intellectual beings. But I think we still have not learned from our own history that what we are actually capable of. Imagine 100 years ago, we split the atom, with the hope that we can use that to create new energy. But when the war broke, we used the same methodology to level two cities and kill thousands of people.
Right.
This is only one example that which shows technology, the same technology can be used for good or bad. But it is up to us on how we can actually leverage the good side rather than the bad side of that same technology. Right now, we are in the age of AI. AI will boom, and it's going to we are going to create more advanced method which are only going to make our lives better. But there will always be bad actors who will use it for bad, right? Use it, abuse it in a wrong way.
But my question is right there, that is there a way that, going through your experience, is there a way we can really control those players? Can we control the game there? Is it possible?
Yes, we have to. Okay, the way I think is, first of all, have an open and honest communication with everybody. Let's say if somebody is an AI expert, they should talk to even the public to spread awareness of what AI is and what AI can do. The more you educate other people about what AI is capable of, that itself provides a better knowledge of how to use it. Moreover, governments, scientists, uh, policymakers, technologists, industrialists all have to come together right now and think about developing safe AI and AI for
Mhm.
good. So, how
Right.
can we put speed break or limiters in AI so that we do not stunt the growth of the AI, but we can build it in a more safe manner going forward? Because we
Right.
should learn by now that we have abused technologies over centuries, over millennia. So
Yeah.
in its infancy, still in its infancy, I would say, we have to start thinking about how we can work together to reduce the abuse and promote the ethical development of AI.
Right. Right. So you're saying it's everybody's responsibility in a way, but people who know the who know AI in detail, they are the ones, they are supposed to be coming forward and actually telling it out to the people, to make policies and make sure that it doesn't go in the wrong hands or doesn't go out of control.
Exactly, and also educate the masses, because I think AI should be accessible to anybody and everybody. It is one of
Right.
the technology that can completely influence everybody's life in a positive way. So we need about what is AI. Now, not to self promote myself, a couple of months ago, I actually wrote a book on what is AI and how to use it. Uh, the
Okay.
reason behind
Nice.
that book, uh, by the way, I do not use very technical words in that. So I tried to write it in a more uh, easy manner because I want to educate the masses so that, again, they know what they can expect with AI to come.
Right.
And
Right.
still, a lot of people who are very uh, untrust untrusting towards AI, or they are suspicious to AI. But again, as we educate more and more people about what the technology is capable of, especially for the good side, I think we can change that. And the more people educated about this technology, then they will also be able to recognize what is an abuse of the same technology and what is not.
Right. Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. And with that, I would like to go further with your next role that you have in your hand right now, is being a professor or a lecturer. And I would really like to know how that role and how did you go into that role, and how is your experience, and what are you exactly doing there right now?
Excuse me. It's actually fulfilling. The reason a lot of people ask me, okay, wait, you have like over 13 years of industry experience, worked in Microsoft, Samsung, so many other, like even smaller companies. Uh, have my own company as well. But they often ask me, okay, why did you choose to be a lecturer or professor? And I tell
Actually,
them
I
that,
have the same question, that why did you really choose to do that?
so remember, I told you, I got incorporated into research at a very early age, like during my undergrad. And also, where I am today is because of my mentors and professors who have helped me along the journey.
Right.
I wouldn't have reached or built the technologies what I have done today if it wasn't for those amazing people. So I wanted to give the same opportunity to the next generation of computer scientists and technologists by supervising them or by mentoring them. That's why I chose to come in academia and become a lecturer and a professor.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, the way inner drive and motivation works for you, and the way you channelize your skills as well as your energy in that way is amazing to know, and it's an inspiring story. I am really inspired now with your story, and I'm sure whoever listens to your story is going to feel inspired and have that new zest and zeal to undertake bigger challenges in their own journeys.
Thank
So
you, Amogh.
thanks to you for coming out on this platform and sharing your amazing journey. But before I let you go, I'm gonna take you through a rapid fire round. It's just gonna be three questions. I would expect rapid answers from you. Um, for every question you have, yeah, and for every question you'll have your three options. So you just have to choose one out of the three. You have to choose one out of three. You have no real choice. Of course, you can share what you think about it as well. So if you're ready, let's go with that.
Yep, let's do it.
Yeah. So my first question is, why should anyone do a PhD, either for a higher education and a job, or for solving a socially relevant problem, or actually purely for the passion of science?
Oof. I would say all three in a way, but mostly number two and number three. Is it possible to choose two, or I have to choose one?
It's okay. It's okay. That's how your journey has been. That's how you identify it. So okay.
So I would go for the option two and option three. So solving a societal problem, and also thinking about the higher purpose of science. Because right now, again, if you notice that our lives have become better over the centuries, is because of invention of new technology. First fire,
Right.
wheels, then train, like another form of automotives, electricity. So
Right.
all, and now AI. So all
Right.
these technologies were the outcome of science itself. And these
Right.
technologies are the society and human being. So I think one of the best motivation one person can have to do their PhD is to create that next big thing, or find the, let's say, that knowledge would improve science itself going forward, one, and how that new knowledge can benefit the society. uh,
Amazing.
so these should be biggest motivation in doing or pursuing a PhD.
Right. Right. I had these two options separate because there's always this debate where we talk that not all science needs to be applied science. Not all science needs to have a immediate application at the moment. But in the bigger realm, what you're trying to say is it will make a change if you have a kind of a well-driven path for your research.
Exactly. And again, like a lot of time in science, the new finding might not be, let's say, implementable into a product, or like a tangible something that helps people,
Right,
right, uh,
right,
to the limitation of technology and science that we have today. But you never know, like moving forward, like in few decades, the same thing implement useful for people in general. So you are absolutely right on that.
yeah. Okay, perfect. So my second question is then, what is the key factor that you think is important for collaboration in research? Is it the hardcore research problem that you are dealing with, or is it the networking that you have, or is it the alignment of ideas with your peers?
Ooh, actually, none of those three. Sorry.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, then what's it that you think?
Fourth option that I will choose, my option, is to learn how other people tackle or think about the same problem and approach it. Because when we do something, we have our own way of thinking or approaching that
Right,
problem. But
right,
I realized in my journey, the best research comes through collaboration. Because let's say you're approaching a problem in your way of thinking, other people with whom you are working, they can provide new perspective, which can improve your methodology or solution even further. So that's my key motive of uh,
okay,
collaboration in research. But I actually have to three options that you have provided. The next one, or my personal choice, would be networking as well.
right,
As
right,
even person has the like world changing idea, that one person can only start or ignite the fire to changing the world. But actually,
mhm,
the change in the world happens when other people come in, join your like join your journey, join your like uh, fight against whatever you are doing, and then the movement grows bigger, and that actually brings in change. So for
mhm.
that to happen, networking is very. I also have a saying: your net worth is your network.
Wow,
You look at the successful people, even billionaires. These people have a network of people who are also successful. So they bring each other up in the ladder of success. So I definitely always encourage other people around me that network, get to know new people, meet new people, make new friends, and motivate each other to achieve your. So your net worth is your network.
amazing, amazing. My last question is going to be interesting for all PhD students, hopefully in the future or even now. And it is, what do you think will be AI's role in a PhD of a student in the future? Firstly, will it be able to help in writing thesis and papers? Will it help in running the experiments using new technology? Or is it going to be going further and contributing ideas to us?
Okay, so staying in academia, and since the boom of large language models such as OpenAI's ChatGPT or Google's Bard, I know a lot of students are using it. We can't stop them from using it, right? It's there.
Yeah.
But I think now as academics, we have to think of how we can challenge our students, even PhD, so that it's absolutely trying to use AI like ChatGPT or Google Bard, but they come up with their own solution uh, in their own way rather than taking help from the AI. Now, I personally, I've been using the ChatGPT and Google Bard to educate myself on different topics. So I
Mhm.
don't want to say I hypocrite by saying, oh no, I use it. In fact, these
Yeah.
technologies have been in like, improving my knowledge on many different areas. So I'm
Yeah.
using them to develop my understanding of a particular topic. So for PhD student, they can also use the same to get more in-depth knowledge on a topic that they might not have learned before. So this will only speed up their, let's say, research. I will definitely encourage PhD student to use such technology to speed up their research. But at the end of the day, again, these large language model cannot create a new solution or cannot do the experiment on the. We still haven't reached that. Somebody.
But do you think that's possible in the future? And will it also eventually reach to a stage where AI is actually giving us research ideas? Do you think that's going to happen?
Ah, it already does actually, because the
Okay.
large language model, right? If you're not sure about one particular area, you can actually ask it, okay, what do you think going forward? What could be the research topic?
Okay. Wow.
It can give you a direction, but it cannot do the main research for you. So
Mhm.
during PhD, one of the most important skill that is taught to PhD student is how to develop your own methodology to pursue research. These type of AI are really good in giving you direction on how to build your own methodology, but it cannot do it for you. And
Mhm.
yes, maybe in a decade or two, in particular domains, we will see that AI is more sophisticated that it can even do the methodology for you. But again, then the question will be to PhD student, like let's say 20 years, if AI is doing those stuff for you, so do you think worthy enough to get the PhD? Can you sleep at
Yeah.
night?
That would be that would be a big question. Right.
So that's a different like ethical debate. But right, what uh, uh, at least in next 2 to 3 years, we are building so advanced AI that it can do the methodology as well, but it can definitely provide us direction on how to build particular methodology around the problem that you are trying to solve in your research. I would encourage PhD student to use such like technology like ChatGPT, Google Bar to get an idea of okay which direction they should be heading, because it's also I uh, staying within the academia, I also learned a lot of PhD students do complain about not getting a lot of face time with their supervisor, and they
Yeah,
often
that was my next question actually. That will AI ever become a PI? Running a PhD group.
uh,
Do you think that's in a joking way, of course, but uh,
I think AI is already, as I have already mentioned, AI has right now, even current given state, AI is a good PI. So
right.
the Khan Academy, one of the uh, like very popular like uh, tutor uh, platform. Khan Academy actually have built their own like AI system. So it's AI tutor. The name of it is called Khan Amigo. So
Okay.
in the OpenAI's GPT, not ChatGPT, but the understanding large GPT, with their own like platforms on academics question. And now that tutor helps the student on the platform to learn about those topics. So we have
Okay.
that, and that you can train to even become your PI. That is also possible. So student should leverage it, because oftentimes, see, your physical supervisor or actual supervisor might not always available, and they have their own work as well. They have their own research or research team to manage. They have other PhD students, so they might not be able to provide a lot of waste time or problem solving time to you. So it's absolutely, I think, fine to use ChatGPT and Google Bard to supplement the PI going forward. But again, it's these AI technology lack one thing: it's the human experience itself. These AI models are trained on the public information on the internet, so they can give you the knowledge that we can also find from reading different books and internet sources. But at the end of the day, you can never replace the experience of actual supervisor or PI,
Right.
because he in through that topic themselves have the hands-on experience on something that AI can never, like, provide.
Right.
So in that sense, yes, students can use these large language model as their supplementary PI or supervisor, but again, it won't replace the actual supervisor.
Yeah, that's. I really like the way you use a supplementary PI, and I hope we use this technology in a good way. And I'm really glad and happy that you could join us today for sharing your journey. And thank you once again for inspiring not just me, but also I'm sure anyone who listens to your journey, they will get inspired from it. So thank you once again to be on the show.
Thank you, Amogh. No, it's all my pleasure. Like, I always like to share what I have been through so that other people don't make those mistakes, or it can even inspire one person through my journey and they become amazing technologists or scientists moving forward, right? I would still feel okay, I did something worthwhile with my time here on Earth. So thank you so much
That's great.
for the
That's
opportunity.
great way to think, and I hope it continues on with the students that you're teaching. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Amogh. Bye bye.
Bye bye. See you. So I hope you loved this episode, this live. I'm really out of words to explain how this journey has been for Somdeep, and I'm really inspired, and I feel you guys are also gonna feel that inspiration and the drive within. So do join us again for the next live sometime soon on this very channel. Till then, share our reels and our plans of going through these struggles and these stories of PhD students. And till the next episode, it's a goodbye from us. Thank you.